It was one of those afternoons when the air felt heavy with judgment. A quiet man named Marcus, dressed neatly in a navy suit, walked into a downtown bank with a folder in hand and hope in his eyes. He had come for a loan meeting he'd scheduled weeks ago, a meeting that meant everything to him. But as soon as he approached the counter, the manager's expression changed. Her name was Miss Harper, and behind her polite smile hid an unspoken bias. "You'll need to wait," she said flatly, without even checking his name. Minutes turned into an hour. People came and went. Each time Marcus tried to speak, she waved him off with that same practiced smile. He stayed quiet, holding on to patience, but deep down, something hurt. He wondered, would she have treated him the same if he looked different? The ticking clock was the loudest sound in the lobby. 2 hours had passed, and Marcus was still seated in the corner, his loan documents untouched beside him. He watched others walk in, get greeted warmly, and walk out with smiles, all while he sat waiting. A teller whispered something to Miss Harper, glancing toward him. She frowned. "He'll have to wait." "I'm busy," she muttered. The truth was, she wasn't. She just assumed he wasn't important. Marcus took a deep breath, reminding himself why he came, not to prove himself to anyone, but to secure a future for his small business, the one he'd built from nothing. As he sat there, a quiet resolve grew inside him. He knew something Miss Harper didn't, that today would end very differently than she imagined. At last, the double doors at the end of the hall opened. A group of sharply dressed men and women walked in, the bank's board members. Everyone in the branch straightened instantly. Ms. Harper's tone shifted, she became all smiles and confidence. "Good afternoon, everyone," she chirped. But then her eyes froze. Among the board members was Mr. Daniels, the regional director, and right beside him was Marcus. The same man she had ignored for 2 long hours. The staff exchanged puzzled looks as Mr. Daniels walked directly toward Marcus with open arms. "Marcus. You made it. I was hoping you'd arrive early." The room fell silent. Ms. Harper's expression drained of color as realization struck, the man she dismissed wasn't just any customer. Mr. Daniels clapped Marcus on the back and turned to the stunned staff. "Everyone, meet Marcus Reed, one of our newest business partners and the owner of Reed Innovations, the company we're funding through this very branch." A hush fell over the room. Ms. Harper's mouth opened, but no words came out. The very man she made wait was, in fact, the guest of honor. Marcus remained calm, his voice low and steady. "It's okay," he said gently. "I didn't want to interrupt. I figured patience would reveal enough." His words carried no anger, only quiet strength. The board members exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the weight of what had just happened. Ms. Harper's confident demeanor began to crumble, replaced by a sinking feeling she couldn't hide. The meeting that followed took place right in front of her desk. Marcus opened his folder, his presentation crisp and professional. As he spoke about his company's community work, Ms. Harper could hardly look up. The contrast between who she thought he was and who he truly was stung deeply. Mr. Daniels praised Marcus's dedication, telling everyone how his business had helped local youth find employment. Marcus nodded humbly, but inside, he felt a mix of pride and sadness. He never wanted to embarrass anyone, only to be seen for his work, not his skin. Yet, in this moment, the truth spoke louder than any words could. When the meeting ended, applause filled the lobby. The board congratulated Marcus, shaking his hand warmly. Ms. Harper stood behind the counter, her confidence shattered. Slowly, she approached him. "Mr. Reed. I owe you an apology," she stammered. Marcus looked at her, his eyes calm. "You don't owe me anything," he said softly. "But maybe the next person who walks in deserves your time, no matter what they look like." His tone wasn't harsh, just honest. For the first time, she truly listened. The weight of her actions pressed heavily on her chest. Marcus smiled politely, gathered his papers, and walked out, leaving behind a silence thicker than any speech could fill. Days later, a framed photograph appeared in the bank's lobby, Marcus standing beside Mr. Daniels, holding the partnership certificate. Beneath it was a small plaque that read, "Integrity starts with how we treat people." Ms. Harper saw it every morning. It reminded her not just of her mistake, but of a lesson she'd carry for life, that success and dignity were no single face. As for Marcus, his business flourished, but what stayed with him most wasn't the deal. It was the quiet victory of grace, proving that respect doesn't need to shout to be heard. The world had seen his patience, his strength, and his heart, and it changed more than one mind that day.